Well, it's almost that time of year again, tax season, one of my least favorite times of year. This came in as a recommendation. It is titled A Very Basic Look at Taxes Between Denmark and the USA. Now, I can only imagine it would take a very long time for me to compare each individual European country to USA's taxes. That's a lot. I don't know. Maybe we'll do another one, but I think Denmark might be a good starting point. I feel like maybe Norway, Sweden, like the UK, Belgium, maybe all have somewhat similar taxes to Denmark. So nonetheless, I'm curious about this just to see how drastic the difference is, or maybe a little bit more similar than I would think. Nonetheless, smash like button. Let's dive in.
We're going to take a simple comparison of taxes in
Denmark
versus taxes in
the United States of America.
Joshua, Maya, Miranda, the channel is called Traveling Young. I'll have a link for their channel down in the description below. Let's see what they got to say.
We spent our lives traveling the world,
And in 2018, we moved from
Chicago, Illinois to
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Now we want to share with you
Nice.
our new lives abroad
Is keeping us young.
keeping us young.
are helping to keep us young.
Hello and welcome to Traveling Young. Today we wanted to discuss taxes and compare the fundamentals of a typical paycheck in America versus in Denmark.
Yes, she said taxes. I do want to mention what this is and isn't meant to be, though. We are not here to complain about paying taxes. We know every single human on the planet has a position on that. So no, this video isn't meant to debate the merits of paying taxes or if somebody feels their taxes are too high. That's not what we're here for.
What this is meant
Okay.
to do
Fair
is help
enough.
explain and compare what an American or a Dane making 100,000 US dollars a year or 50,000 Danish krona a month would pay in taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we recognize that taxes, rules about taxes, deductions, everything is super complicated.
Damn right it is. Jeez. It is so complicated. Literally, if you just have a good enough tax person and a business like a wealth manager, you can literally get out of paying so many taxes here in the States, at least. I would imagine a lot of countries are like that too. You know, if you got the cash to be able to find all the little loopholes, you don't have to pay as much. I'm not that smart yet. I still pay a shit ton of taxes.
Conversation basic, we aren't going to tackle all of those things in this video, but we may in another video. We also aren't going to get into sales tax or value added taxes, which of course affect how you spend the money that you take home from your paycheck each month.
But take-home pay
Okay.
is exactly what we want to cover here. What does
Cool.
a single person with one child take home each month after the basics are taken away from their check? What are they left with, and how does that compare between the US of A and Denmark?
The US of A. or
All right, one person, one child. I guess I would have preferred to see like a full household, 2 adults, 1 child, because I'm curious what the marriage like tax exemptions are for your guys' countries.
While I adjusted incomes a bit to avoid disclosing too much about us, rest assured these numbers are real. And we know that some people will make a little bit more than this, or some will make less than this, adjusting, of course, the amount of taxes that they pay. This is meant to give the picture with actual numbers. Of course, this is the take-home that they pay, that they're going to have taken out of their check. And what we're not going to talk about here, of course, is the end-of-the-year adjustments that you make. But what we do want to do is just go into this and take our illustration and start showing you how we've kind of calculated what this means to you.
Yeah, so let's show you.
All right, so we've
Cool.
got 2 pieces of paper here. This one is America. This one is Denmark. We're going to cut the middle
Okay.
line, and each strip is going to represent the amount of money a person would make in a month. They will both be the same amount in length. 50,000 Danish krona a month, or 8,000.
Ooh, I kind of like what they're doing here, like breaking it down visually with with paper. That's cool. Usually people just put like numbers on the screen when they're talking about any type of taxes. This is a nice visualization. I like it.
330 US dollars. Now we're going to draw some lines here to indicate that each notch is going to be 2,500 Danish krona.
Okay.
Now each of these sections is meant to illustrate that amount, 2,500 krona or 408 US dollars. First, we're going to start with America. An American making
Wait.
50,000.
I thought, didn't he say America was blue? I'm confused now. Did he just say that?
It's to you.
Yeah, so let's show you.
All right, so we've got 2 pieces of paper here. This one is America.
Okay, so America's blue. Maybe they just made a mistake.
Now, each of these sections is meant to illustrate that amount, 2,500 krona or 408 US dollars. First, we're going to start with America. An American making $50,000 a month is going to pay $7,000.
Oh, okay. My bad, you guys. Saw the American flag go over the red piece there. I'm like, wait, what?
An American making $50,000 a month is going to pay 7,736 krona in federal income tax, and then they will pay 2,500 in state tax in Illinois, because in this example, the person is living in Illinois, which we did right before we moved here.
Okay. So I believe here in the U.S. we have about 8 states that don't have state tax, and I live in one of them, so it's kind of a nice
They will
benefit.
pay 3,900 Danish krona in FICA tax. FICA combines both Social Security and Medicare. These are the taxes that somebody has to pay in America, but there's going to be some changes in a minute. But first, let's go to Denmark. In Denmark,
Okay.
you're going to pay 14,824 Danish krona in
Scat
ASCAT.
tax?
And then there's 4,000 krona
ASCAT.
in AM tax. And there's just a wee sliver of 95 krona for ATP. We're not going to label that one because it's so small, but it does exist, so we wanted to mention it.
ATP?
So if we look at the taxes here, this is all of the U.S. tax, and this is the Danish tax, and this is what a person making that amount of money would come home with.
Not really that different. I mean, I guess you get a little bit more in America, but for the most part, like pretty damn close, right?
So in this case, you can see that the American has a little bit more money, but what's missing here is the American doesn't have health insurance yet, nor are they saving for a
Here we
college
go.
education for their child. If they had to pay health insurance, they're going to pay 2,333 Danish krona in a month. That's exactly what we were paying for Maya.
380 when was this? Hold on. When did this come out? 4 years ago. Holy cow. Health insurance, we have a serious you guys know. We have a health insurance expense problem here in America. It is so expensive. Hopefully, I think they're trying to figure it out, but we'll see what the hell happens. I don't even know anymore. We just had to change health insurance because it's just so
33
expensive. It's so
Danish
crazy.
krona in a month. That's exactly what we were paying for Maya and myself when we were living in Illinois. I also decided to save up for Maya's college costs, and I started that immediately after she was born. I was paying 250 US dollars a month, or 1,500 Danish krona. Now you can see once you add health insurance and a college fund, these amounts are starting to look a little bit more equal. What I forgot to add when doing this exercise is that in Denmark, rather than getting a credit or paying less taxes when you have a child, as is the case in the US, the government in Denmark pays you directly into your bank account a certain amount of money. Due to how it is handled,
That's
our
pretty
tax
cool.
remains the same, but we're adding 400 Danish krona to our income in Denmark to account for this example of having one child. Now when you look,
Okay.
they're even closer than before, since 400 Danish krona or 65 US dollars is added back to the Danish income. They aren't equal yet, but the difference isn't that significant. It's only 550 Danish krona or 86 US dollars more for the American. In America, if I'm paying for my health insurance and I'm saving for my daughter's college and I'm paying all that tax, that's basically the equivalent of what's happening in Denmark, except in Denmark, it's all actually contained just in your tax itself. Those things are included in what you're paying in those taxes. But here's the interesting thing. Let's move this down a bit. In America,
Okay.
health insurance is not going to cover everything. There are still deductibles, there are still co-pays, there are other costs beyond what you pay in your insurance. And if this income is fixed and it won't increase all that often, this is the amount of money that you're taking home. Let's just say that you need all of this to pay for your house, to pay for your car or cars, to pay for your food and a little bit of fun. This is all consumed with those things. Where are you going to get money to pay for the additional unanticipated health needs? Well, the way most people handle that is through debt. Debt here is illustrated through a question mark. If income can increase and you have more bills due to a healthcare obligation
Income
that
can
you didn't
always
realize
increase.
you need, this is the only way that you can cover that. And the problem with this is if your health situation is bad and it's an ongoing issue, this may have to grow even bigger. The only way you can grow your money if necessary, and if you don't have any savings, is through debt. This is one of the challenges that I see, and it's where my opinion comes in. This is one of the unforeseen things that can happen if your health is not really possible to cover easily through your income, because this is all consumed by the things that you need to survive and potentially a little bit that can make you happy. Debt is the only variable that you can introduce in order to handle the part that you can't cover through the money that you're making.
I'm kind of curious though. Does Denmark, is there a lot of debt there? Even across like most European countries, like, do you guys carry debt as well? I fortunately have like eaten away at pretty much all of my debt, and I didn't go to college, so I didn't have to deal with this college fund thing. And then health insurance when I was a kid was practically free. I mean, it was so damn cheap before they implemented Obamacare, which kind of like raised everything and made it way more expensive. But yeah, I mean, it's similar. The debt problem is just, it's so bad. It's absolutely so horrible, man. Everyone I know is so in debt. And it must be an American thing where people try and like present themselves like with the nice car and the nice bag and, you know, all this crazy stuff. They put themselves in a house that they can't afford and just go into crazy debt. I was taught a little differently, but
additionally, this college
surprise
savings wasn't going to be enough to pay for all of Maya's college. It was only going to make it easier at the point when she went to college. During the 4+ years that Maya would be in college, I might be in a position that I'd have to add even more question marks in order to cover the part of college that my savings wouldn't be able to handle. Now, maybe my income increases and I can pay off some of it, but debt is basically the only variable that I can add in order to increase what I have to pay. And this extra bit is where
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. He says that debt is the only way that he can afford to pay for the things that he wants to. That's just not true at all. You don't have to go into debt. You can earn more money. You might have to work a little bit more. And I know that's a total American thing. It is not a European thing. You guys want as much time off as possible. And yeah, I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm just saying there is another way you can earn more money, but it is a serious problem for the average person that just wants to go to their job. They enjoy what they do. They make a certain amount. You know, it's like, yeah, maybe they are going to have to go into debt or just live more frugally, you know, not buy as much stuff.
I think there's a significant challenge in America because these things are things you just can't easily anticipate, especially healthcare. But those are the things that get handled through the tax that you pay in Denmark. If you took these things out completely, if you didn't save for college, you didn't pay for health insurance, sure, you may be taking home a little bit more money than you would otherwise, but you're still back in the situation where you have to start adding debt to cover the things that you can't pay for out of pocket. And this is where the challenge exists. So in my opinion, the difference isn't necessarily that you're paying for these things, because you're paying no matter what. The difference is how and where you're paying for them. Let's take the income away for now. The difference here is that in Denmark, all of this is going to be paid through your taxes. Where in the US, a portion is going to tax and a portion is going into what would be considered the open market and competition, where you can make decisions. But in the end, college is going to cost a lot of money because it's basically a business and the costs are increasing every single year.
I think, and also the college argument, you know, this is about 4 years old, but like we have, I don't know about y'all, but we have a horrible problem in our country with just too many people that all went to college, that all have degrees, that can't find jobs, and they're like working at Starbucks. There is countless videos, people talking about it, young people completely stressed out, especially the young men. They're like really thrown for a win right now. But yeah, I don't know, I guess it depends on what you go to college for, right? What we did is we took a certain amount that we put into the market when each child was born, and then as it grows over time and we add to it, when they become 18 years old, or I think we might have it hit at 21. At 18, it's been a while since I looked at it, but nonetheless, when they're like between 18 and 21, we can decide, hey, like, do you want to go to college with this fund? Would you like to, do you have a good job? Are you going into a trades, you know, are you going to be a tradesman and you don't need college, so you want to take the funds and like put it into a house or something like that? So we kind of separated out to give our kids more options, but I know not everyone's kind of like that. Everyone wants to go to college.
And health insurance is something that you may need more of than you think you'll need. but you might also need less. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on how long you live or what happens to you. But health insurance really isn't a competitive market. But more importantly, think about it. If you're in a serious injury after a car accident, as an example, will you be swiping left or right on your phone to find a doctor? You're going to take the care that you can get. And what that means is you're going to find out later what impact that has on your health insurance or costs. Health insurance is also something that you need to survive because it affects your ability to earn money. Because you can't earn the money here if you aren't healthy. You can't earn income, and then everything becomes a major problem.
Well, you don't get healthy from health insurance. You get healthy from being healthy, but I get what he's saying.
Then you might have a whole bunch of question marks in order to cover all kinds of items that you didn't realize you need.
I hope you enjoyed this little example, but before we get into
That was
summary
really
here,
cool.
we're going to take a quick break because it's Tuesday.
So that means try it on Tuesday.
All right, guys. So the rest of the video was them covering something completely different topic. So we'll just go ahead and cut it right there. I thought this was really, really interesting. I like how they made it visualized for us so that we can kind of see the differences. Obviously, the biggest factor is the debt one. Like, it's just in our culture. I think it started in like the late 90s when they started getting credit cards and everyone just got on that and it became normalized. I don't know what it's like for you guys if you have a lot of debt. I'd really be curious to know. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. Also, taxes are always changing, right? Like, they can get raised, they can get lowered. Ours just got lowered here in the States. I know some other places, other countries are raising them. So there's so many factors, and I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. I just try and work inside the system that I live in. So I'm sure you guys probably do the same thing. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and end it. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.